Wakey wakey, my friends. Today is a pretty good day to catch up on what happened yesterday in the National Hockey League. Now, could I have gone out there and made this video last night? Yes, I could have. But I do not know if you can tell. My voice is kind of muted a bit at the moment. I feel a cold, or a cough, or maybe COVID or something. I don't know. I'm not feeling the best right now, and over the next few days, this will definitely start to get worse. I know how my body reacts to viral infections and whatnot. I know this is the start of what is probably going to be a pretty difficult week for me physically. So I'm going to try to get through this video with as much sleep and preparation as possible. Because yesterday, I'm going to say, was a really, really good day for the Detroit Red Wings and the Montreal Canadiens. And I wanted to use this video as more of an opportunity to just dive into the success stories that we are seeing in this early 2025-2026 campaign. Now, I'll go out there and also acknowledge that just because things start out really well doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to stay well. You remember when the Montreal Canadiens had that 10-game win streak to start out the year a few years ago? Or, I say, a few years ago. It was like a decade ago. Was it even 10 games? I think it might have been 9. Anyways, the Montreal Canadiens were the top team in the NHL at that time frame. And they inevitably fizzled out and finished 6th, I believe, in the Atlantic Division. Not a good year when you consider how well things started. But just because starts don't guarantee future successes, it still gives us the opportunity to talk about two of my favorite teams and how well they've been performing so far in the year. Sorry, Vancouver, you're not included here because y'all have not really had the best success so far. But if you take a look at what happened yesterday in the Atlantic Division NHL matchups, you had the Boston Bruins losing a stinker of a last-second game to the Florida Panthers in regulation. You had the Toronto Maple Leafs losing in a game to the New Jersey Devils. And you also had yourselves the Ottawa Senators losing to the Edmonton Oilers. Really, really strong results for these Atlantic Division rivals of Montreal and Detroit. Obviously, Florida's in there. They ended up winning. Nice to see that. But Boston, Ottawa, Toronto, all these teams could roughly be in the mix for one of the top Atlantic spots. And Montreal and Detroit sit atop of the division with 10 points each at the moment. It's kind of crazy because both of these teams had losses that I think have such different identities to them. The Red Wings have only lost one game. It was at the beginning of the year. It was to the Montreal Canadiens, go figure. But when the Red Wings lost their first game of the year, I saw a lot of fans saying like, oh man, this is the same crap that we saw last year. This is the same stuff that caused the team to crumble away and fall out of the playoff race early in previous seasons. This sucks. But inevitably, the Red Wings found themselves ways to win, and they've beaten some pretty strong opponents. Say what you want about the Tampa Bay Lightning and how good they've been, but Detroit has beaten Toronto twice, Florida once, Tampa once, Edmonton once. That's 2 out of the 2 teams that have made the Stanley Cup Finals the past 2 seasons Detroit has defeated. And the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. It is just Montreal that Detroit has lost to so far. And I say that fully knowing that they're playing off against the Buffalo Sabres later today, so if there's any team to go out there and actually give Detroit a loss, it's going to be this team, right? They're shot out of a cannon with the addition of Zach Benson, and a lot of their goal scorers starting to wake up. But for the Montreal Canadiens, their loss against the New York Rangers the other day wasn't really filled with the same sort of, I don't know what's the right word here, what's the word that's like you have a bad outlook on other people in life? Cynical, that's what it is. I didn't see a lot of Canadiens fans getting all too cynical about their 2 losses to Toronto nor New York. It was more so like, hey, they tried, they played a good game, they just didn't win. You're not going to win all the time, and that's fine. And I think there is such a big difference between the way Red Wings and Canadiens fans handle losses with their teams, and especially depending on how the loss is. I mean, the Red Wings got totally stomped by Montreal in their first game of the year, so I can understand why there were some ill feelings in that one. But ultimately, these 2 teams are at the top of the Atlantic Division right now, and it's pretty good for me because I can go out there and sit here, make content, everybody's excited. We kind of need at least one of my favorite teams, 2 is better, to go out there and actually start doing well on the ice and getting positive results. I say that not like the Vancouver Canucks are second in the Pacific Division right now, tied with Seattle, but with how things are going with that team, oh boy, I don't know if that top 2 spot in the Pacific is going to hold heading into even the next few days here. More on that later in today's show, but for the Montreal Canadiens and the Detroit Red Wings, I just wanted to go out there and say that they are doing things that I don't think anybody really expected out of them. Like, everything is going well so far. Maybe not everything is going perfectly. For the Red Wings, you would like to see a full lineup, you would like to see Patty Kane, you would like to see Lucas Raymond, you'd like to see everybody there. But even without Kane and without Raymond, the team's still finding ways to win. Dylan Larkin is one of the top point scorers in the National Hockey League. That is something that we always kind of knew was possible, but nothing that we were going to ever bet money on. Like, oh yeah, Dylan Larkin, top 5 in NHL points at the end of the year. Nobody was betting on that. Realistically, you could say that there are a lot of folks around the NHL that are talented enough to be top stars, but who just haven't done that yet. Guys who have a track record that would not surprise you if they exploded for a 90 or a 100 point plus season. Dylan Larkin is one of them, and I'm honestly going to go out there and say Nick Suzuki is in that conversation too. With Cole Caulfield getting off to the extreme good start that he's got, that guy could get 40 goals, and I don't think people would be too surprised. And now you're taking a look at some of the other teams here. The Ottawa Senators, they lose in overtime to Edmonton. Finally, the Oilers are starting to get some points from McDavid and Evan Bouchard. You know Evan Bouchard got his first assist of the year yesterday? It's kind of ridiculous. Very first assist, and it came in whichever game this was for the Edmonton Oilers. It was their 7th game of the year. But ultimately, Ottawa loses. So that widens the gap a little bit. Top 3 teams in the Atlantic right now are Detroit, Montreal, and Florida. Who would have expected that? And yesterday, it was a really, really good night for the out-of-town scoreboard, folks. So with all this in mind, I just wanted to get that chill commentary out there because I am very happy with 2 of my favorite teams going out there and doing their thing. What have you seen so far? What are you expecting to see later today? Because both the Canadiens and the Red Wings play. The Habs have themselves the Calgary Flames and the Red Wings have the Buffalo Sabres. Both teams that should be beatable, but of course, knock on wood, weirder things have happened in the NHL. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like button. If you did not, the dislike button is down there for you as well. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 9 and bye.